Just got pulled over in the BRZ again, but now I have plates, so not sure what this is for.
All right, so the reason I stopped you was for modified exhaust. Okay, it's $113. I'm just gonna give you a warning for today, though. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty loud. It's pretty noticeable. I mean, you're gonna attract attention. So just keep that in mind. Something you contend with when you start modifying cars, you know. So
what's the general rule of thumb on that?
Original. Any modification.
Okay.
It's forbidden. If you didn't buy it that way from the actual manufacturer or the dealer, even the dealer, when they get used cars in, you know, you buy a used car from them, they might not tear the exhaust off it.
As a used dealer allowed to sell a car with a
they'll sell you anything. You can buy anything you want if you search hard enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's what happens is it's on private property. It's there. They bought it. If you buy it, you're assuming responsibility for it. So, you know, as the operator of the vehicle, you're responsible for that vehicle when you take it out on the roadway. If you could take that scenario and kind of apply it to you being the registered owner, even if you bought it this way, it's still on you. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You got tint violation going on, and who knows what else, but that's why I stopped you anyhow. So
he just came up and he said he pulled me over for a modified exhaust. Of freaking course. Out of all the cars with the hood exits and the ridiculous exhaust we always have, I've never once been pulled over for a modified exhaust. And now we're in our most complete looking ish car. Granted, she is a little ricey sounding, so I get that. We probably should have left that inline muffler or resonator, catalytic converter, whatever it is, on the car. But yeah, pulled over for a modified exhaust. So that's hilarious. We buy a wide body FRS and now we're getting pulled over every time we try to drive this thing. It is a cop magnet. Oh shoot, the LS is officially off the stand here.
Don't worry, it'll be back soon. According to the commenters, it'll be next week. Back up on it.
We might only get one day of running before she checks out on us.
Nah, she's a freaking solid unit. We're actually gonna get the flywheel on it, get this clutch on here, and then made it to the transmission. It's about ready to drop into the car.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, getting close.
Let's see if this one holds up. We need positivity in the comments, boys. Come on. Don't hate on our engine here.
Need some spiritual stuff going on.
Professionally sanded heads.
Yeah, you know the deal.
Couple pistons might be in backwards, but we don't care.
She's gonna rip, all right? She's built loose for boost. She's ready to go.
You hear that thunder outside?
Yeah. Tornadoes and thunder, baby. That's what this is.
All right, guys, now that our LS is off of the stand, we are getting ready to finally mate up our Nissan CD09 transmission to the LS engine here. As you guys saw in some previous videos, we got that bell housing cut off, and we got this one from the Collins kit to adapt it over to the LS here. We went ahead and got our hydraulic throwout bearing installed. Everything is in there, ready to go. Got our lines ran. And on the LS here, we went ahead and got the clutch and flywheel on there. All good to go. Got our engine mounts bolted onto the side there. Got a dipstick for our oil pan. She's really starting to come together here. We're just looking for a couple bell housing bolts and we can go ahead and mate this transmission up to our LS engine. And then I think from there, we're good to stick this thing into the car. See how she fits. Well guys, we are ready to stuff this thing into the car. Got the transmission all bolted up. This thing is looking pretty complete here. So gonna go ahead and stuff her into the 240 chassis here. We got our engine mounts kind of bolted in loosely and we'll see how everything lines up. But we are going up now and it is finally going into the car. Our first LS. thing, dude.
You like my car?
Look at that thing.
It's real nice.
She's in, boys.
Yep.
Got the LS into the 240 finally after much finessing and a couple beatings to the transmission tunnel with a hammer.
I was gonna say, it actually went in smooth, minus.
There's just a couple spots.
Big hammer, transmission tunnel. Then you're
Couple
good.
spots where it did hit, like right up there. It's kind of hard to see, but it really wasn't too bad. Got everything to fit. The Collins kit, other than that, lined up great. We got her set on the S13 setting right now because we actually have a S13 front subframe here in an S14 chassis. So seems to fit good like that. The rear tranny bracket went on good as well. And she is officially LS swapped. Also, something else I forgot to mention is we did track down another steering rack that we got on there right now. I actually went over to James's place and picked that up from him. It was one he just had sitting around. And that one I believe is from an S13. So it went along with our S13 front subframe thing right here. And we actually had to order some new tie rod ends to make that work. I mean, it is all hooked up now and it does technically have some steering, but it's just not all perfect yet. And we also got the little steering knuckle right here to connect the column back to that guy. So, I mean, pretty much everything is back to stock on the 240 here, which is a good sign. It's been a long time since it's been somewhat normal. It was always kind of jank when it came to the steering setup.
Yeah. The old steering setup was not ideal, so hopefully this fixes all those issues.
But yeah, guys, it looks pretty good in there. Fits nice. And now we just got to track down all the accessories we need and just keep going from here. We still have to figure out an intake manifold and, you know, get all that stuff on there, start plugging away, and hopefully we'll be hearing some V8 noises here soon.
Yeah, it's going to sound great. Truck manifolds, open headers, let's go, baby.
As long as it makes some sort of noise,
Yep.
I'll be happy. It's been too long. This is the truck manifold she came with, and I do not think that's going to clear the hood. Not at all. You know, we have the Miata and we slammed it really hard. That one's not gonna slam shut. That is way out of the hood there. So we're gonna have to track down a different intake manifold, something a little more low profile for sure. But you know, we'll take care of that. This one definitely not gonna work. All right, guys, so I made a quick trip down to Sarasota. I'm over here at our buddy Mike Massey's shop. Hit him up in case he had any extra LS parts because we need an intake. We do have a truck intake, but it sits way too tall. So we were looking for like an LS1 style or something more low profile. He happened to have one sitting up here at his shop. It has been sitting for a minute. That thing is very dusty. Don't think anyone's been using that
Yeah, it's free horsepower
recently.
sitting around.
But yeah, thank you for this. That was a big piece that we needed to get this thing up and running.
Yeah, no
so
problem.
hopefully we can
Got you.
hear some LS noises here in the next few days.
Can't wait.
See what all that torque's about.
Man.
Oh, but you're a
Big
2JZ guy.
JZ
So.
guy over here.
So yeah, he has a S13 with a 2J in it. He does a lot of slidey boy stuff, and I'm sure we'll be meeting up with you at some point in the
Yeah,
future
well,
to get some drift lessons.
Yeah, some private days in a OSW or something.
Yeah, so we'll get this thing up and going, boys. But yeah, thanks, Mike, for
Gotcha.
letting me have that intake. There we go. That is much better. It might hit right here if we have some sort of charge pipe coming off at some point, but that will be a lot less hood trimming, I can tell you that. Got our new intake manifold on there, like we showed earlier. Really dusty. You get that guy all cleaned up. But we actually have some parts that just came in over here to show you guys. Now let's go over these real quick. So right here, we have a new water pump. This is a Camaro style water pump. And to go along with, we're waiting on the alternator still. So we got this bracket. We had to get a different style water pump to run with this alternator relocate kit. This mounts it lower, more out of the way. The alternator's not here yet, but that all goes together. We got a new harmonic balancer as well in this box to go along with all of that, because right now the LS has a truck style one on there, so we had to switch the harmonic balancer. So all that stuff goes together. We got some new spark plugs right here for it. The new bolt for the harmonic balancer. These are the new tie rod ends for the steering rack, so it will all be normal again. And then in here, this is some of the good stuff. This is from our buddies over at Snake Eater Performance. We got all new injectors for the LS here, so all 8 of them, not doing a 4-cylinder anymore, boys. 8 injectors, and these guys will be good for plenty of power. Did we end up going with the thousands, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we went with the 1,000cc injectors. So we got 8 of those from Snake Eater Performance. We'll show you guys those in a moment once we get them onto the intake and stuff. And then right here, you guys know the deal. You see the logo on the bag. We are going to be running the 240 on a Fuel Tech, of course, wouldn't want it any other way. So in this bag right here, we got ourselves the LS harness that adapts right to a Fuel Tech FT550 ECU. Nice plug and play unit. There's probably some connectors on here that we're not going to use. We want to go over it, but other than that, this is a very straightforward plug and play harness to go right onto the LS, right into an existing Fuel Tech FT500 that we already have several of around here. And then we also have all the necessary, connectors that we need, wideband kit, wideband sensor, and just some other miscellaneous things that we'll need for wiring. But yeah, boys, we're starting to get some parts rolling in for the 240 here. That's about all we have for today. So, we might just throw the injectors in, make sure those fit right with the new rails and intake, and just kind of get an idea of how we're going to lay everything out. We still need to get some headers figured out as well. We just have the factory truck ones, which we might slap on there upside down for the first fire up, but still a lot of buttoning up we need to get done on this thing. But parts are rolling in, and it's going to be a matter of time before this thing's up and running. All right, guys, we got the 240 back up in the air here, and we got our drive shaft from Universal Drive Shafts. This is the same one that we had done when we first did the J swap, but we actually had to get it shortened about 1.5 inches because with the LS swap, the whole thing sits back about 1.5 inches. So we were able to get the other one in there, but it was a really tight fit. So, to make sure that this has the proper play that it needs to on the input shaft side here, we had to get it shortened. But she's all polished back up again, nice shiny shaft. So we're gonna go ahead and reinstall this guy, and then the drivetrain should be pretty much good to go. And then once we get it running, we can go ahead and drive this thing.
Just like that.
Dang, guys, she is starting to come together here. I know some people didn't want to see this thing with an LS. A lot of you guys wanted to see the J series stay in there or some other swap. But, I'm really liking how that's looking in there. Looks pretty natural, looks good. We just got the intake manifold fully tightened down. Got the fuel rails on there. Probably gonna have to change some things up. Probably gonna move this line up here and then run the feed and return off the back of those rails. We got our Snake Eater 1000cc injectors installed. Everything's fitting great. We got the Camaro water pump housing on there. I also cut this end off here, and we welded AN bungs onto it to match the radiator, but after looking at it, that might be a pretty tight squeeze for AN lines. We'll have to figure that out sometime in the future once we get closer to it running. The balancer still needs to be swapped out, which we'll have to get the puller to get that guy off, do that. But yeah, it's looking really good. Also, we got the throttle cable all hooked up here and working. This was the bracket that came with the intake, and check it out. Got wide in there hitting the throttle. It does come really close right here to hitting, so we might just trim the top of that guy off just to be sure, but it works. That's just the factory S14 cable, and yeah, it's looking pretty good so far. So we just gotta get her wired up, get some fuel ran to it, and slap some headers on there for our first fire up here, and hopefully our junkyard build here holds up and it runs just fine with those pistons backwards.
Maybe throw a bug bomb in there.
Oh yeah, dude, this thing's been sitting outside.
This girl is gross.
What we didn't show is the couple hours of vacuuming out the back. I don't know if you guys remember, but we accidentally busted out the rear window here.
Still looking for a rear window if anybody has one.
Still need a rear window, does not have that. And this had so much crap in it because all the cars that went under the carport, this was the only one that stayed outside. It was getting rained on.
Yeah, I had a nice plastic bag over it, and it lasted
You
about
used
a month.
to.
And then, yeah.
That's what the duct tape looks like now. It has nothing left.
The Florida elements don't take too kindly to vehicles.
And then, yeah, we have the factory headers in the trunk here. We still got to get our new rear bumper on this thing. Clean it up as best we can.
Straight in the quarter panel so the trunk shuts.
Yep, that hit that we took out in Indy is still very much in the side of the quarter there. But yeah, guys, I think that's all we have to talk about for right now. But the drive shaft is in and installed. That does not shut at all. Oh yeah, check it out. Look at the angle, dude. That's some pretty decent angle. Don't mind the wheel not being bolted on, but she still steers. And then we also need to get some bushings on the rack. We're doing new solid bushings so that guy doesn't move at all. But other than that, boys, she's getting pretty close. The LS is officially in the car. And I think once we're done with this is just going to be one of those fun cars we can just hop in and beat on it and should have zero issues.
Right. This should be a car you hop in it whenever, fires right up. You know, there's nothing.
Go thrash
crazy
on it,
about
beat it up, have fun. Go hit up our boy Taylor Ray, you know, go get some drift lessons because we have yet to get a car that can actually drift. FRS needs more power.
Yeah.
And then this one should be capable once we're done with it.
Maybe the
Change it up a little bit.
We'll quit looking at us so weird now that we have an LS.
Oh yeah, you know, now actually Cletus will actually let us come hang out now that we got an LS. But yeah, boys, it's coming along. Hopefully in the next couple videos we'll hear this thing make some noise and no knocking noises.
I mean, debatable. Fingers crossed.
Hope you guys enjoyed this update on the 240. Shouldn't be long until we can get this thing up and running, and I'm really excited to hear it fire up. I'm also really excited that we're finally diversifying a little bit, trying some new engine platforms between this thing and the Sidekick with the rotary in it. It's been fun to learn about, you know, these new engine platforms, and I think I want to continue to do it moving into the future. We'll definitely always be Honda boys at heart, and we will never stop tinkering with the Honda motors. But I think that's the direction I want to kind of go with things and start learning new platforms and just keep going from there. We also have some other stuff planned in the future with other engine platforms as well that I'm very excited about. But that's all I'm going to say for right now. Hope you guys enjoyed. And one last thing, I'm going to be at Import Face Off, Bakersfield, California this weekend, Saturday, September 17th. By the time this is uploaded, that's actually going to be tomorrow. If you guys don't know, the Import Face Off events are massive import events. They have car meets. They do a lot of two-step battles, drag racing, all that kinds of stuff. We were going to them a lot a couple years ago. It's actually where the MR2 did its first massive wheelie. That was at an IFO. So they actually offered to fly me out to California to co-host a two-step battle, and I was down. So I'll be out there in California. If you guys are in the area or planning on coming out, I will be there. So come say hi. But other than that, see you guys later, and thanks for watching.